This is your April 2026 update on the Marin County condo and townhouse market. And this month, if you only look at the single month numbers, you'd walk away thinking this market just made a hard turn upwards. Some of the headline numbers jumped sharply from March. They look strong on the surface, but when you back up and look at the full quarter, which is the more reliable view in the smaller segment like condos, this picture shifts. And in Marin, when those two views disagree, it usually tells you something important about where leverage is actually moving. By the end of this video, you'll know which numbers to trust and what they mean if you own, want to buy, or may need to sell a condo or townhouse in Marin right now. There's even information in this one that is useful to single-family home owners and buyers. So let's get to it. What's happening in real estate right now? Before we get into the Marin condo numbers, a quick look at the bigger picture because the macro backdrop matters in this segment specifically, although it matters for everyone. Anyway, the Federal Reserve held rates steady again at their last meeting. That was Jerome Powell's final meeting as chair before he stepped down in mid-May. And with inflation pressures back and energy prices rising, the market is no longer pricing in any rate cuts this year. Most forecasts now point to the Fed holding flat well into 2027. For condo buyers, that matters. Mortgage rates have been sitting in the mid 6% range, and they're not going meaningfully lower in the near term. Anyone hoping to time a rate drop before buying is looking at a longer wait than they expected. The other force shaping up, well, the Bay Area right now, is the AI-driven wealth in San Francisco. San Francisco homes are reportedly selling for nearly 10% above asking on average, with some over 20%. That competition is pushing a portion of those buyers north into Marin, but that spillover lands almost entirely in single-family homes. It is propping up the single-family home segment in Marin. It doesn't reach the condo market in any meaningful way, at least not right now, because the condo buyer pool is fundamentally different. Why condos often lead on the way down. Here's something worth understanding about how these two segments behave because it shapes how to read the numbers that you're about to see. Condos are more reactive than single-family homes, and the reason is the buyer pool. Condo buyers tend to be more price sensitive. There are more first-time buyers in the segment, more buyers stretching to afford the payment, and more buyers who feel every change in interest rates because the HOA fee stacks right on top of the mortgage. So the monthly carrying cost on a condo moves faster than the equivalent single-family payment. The lifestyle commitment is also lower, which makes it easier for buyers to step back when the conditions shift. What that means in practice is this. When rates stay high and buyer hesitation builds, condos show it first. Days on market stretch, prices give ground, and buyers pull back in this segment before any of that shows up in the single-family numbers. Single-family homes can stay propped up longer by outside demand, like the AI wealth spillover we just talked about. But that doesn't mean the underlying market is strong everywhere. And it means the segment with the more sensitive buyer pool is the one giving you the early read. So when Marin condos and Marin single-family homes start to diverge, condos are often the early signal of where the broader market is actually headed. That's the lens to keep in mind as we look at this month's numbers. Single-family Marin recap. Last week in the Marin County single-family home update, the quarterly numbers held up reasonably well. Average prices were actually up on a quarterly basis, and the median was only down kind of slightly. So in that segment, the underlying trend was steady, even though it is the median that's more important. Don't forget that. Condos are not following the same pattern this month. The single month just from last month, well, that did have its own story. The quarter is telling a completely other story. That is the gap where the real information lives. And if this kind of breakdown is the least bit helpful to you, please subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Now, on to the charts. Okay, first up, we'll look at inventory. That's the light green bars here. You can see that inventory has continued to climb during this period, but this blue line, which are the new listings, took a major dive from last month to this month, and that also happened in single-family homes. On single-family homes, though, when you looked at the prior year, you can see prior year here went down slightly. In single family homes, it went way up. So it was very, very different than, at least last year, than what we were seeing in condos. Although these numbers here are similar in single family homes. We also had more sales, that's the dark green bars, and more pending homes, that's the red line. The actual numbers month over month, where for sale homes are up 9%, new listings are down almost 46%. Sold homes are up more than 28%, so very strong in sales. And pending homes are up over 17%, also strong. You can compare those all to what happened this same month last year. And that would be for sale home up over 3%, new listings down 22%, sold down 2%, pending up 85%. Wow. All right. And the most statistically relevant one, particularly when not very many condos and townhomes sell every month, you can see this month it was 50. It's just not that much. So at least this is 3 months. So pay most attention to these. And that is the for sale homes up 3.5%. That means there's more inventory on the market, a little bit more choices for buyers. The new listings are also up more than 11%. So again, more homes on the market, a little better for buyers. Probably pressure for sellers that can push the prices down as inventory goes up. Sold homes though, up 15%. Excellent. More homes selling, and pending up almost 32%. Excellent. In terms of how much business is going on there for sellers to get what they want, which is usually to sell their place. And here's days on market. Not surprising that we went from, actually no, this is surprising. We went from 35 days on market in March to 44 in April. So it was actually harder to sell a condo or a townhouse in April than it was in March. And compared to last year, the days on market is more than 8% lower than last year. You can see that right here. It was 48 days last year, except for this was the normal trajectory last year from higher, lower, lower. Here we went from higher to a lot lower and then back up. If you look at that based on the more statistically relevant number, then it's still showing that days on market is higher across these three than it was across these three, which you can actually see that by just looking at the bars too. This up here is sales price over the original list price. It looks like the sellers are pricing their condos and townhouses at just the right price to actually get them sold, showing 100 or parity. And here we have price per square foot. As you can see, it went way up from last month to this month, meaning that buyers got less for their money, less bang for their buck from last month as compared to the prior month. That represented over 16% increase in price per square foot. But when you compare it to last year, it was slightly lower than it was last year. And last, when you compare it to the quarter numbers, it was significantly lower than last year, meaning almost 9% lower. So these three are 9% lower than these three. And again, you can just see that by looking at them. And this is by far the most interesting information. I mean, it usually is because it's about prices, but look at this. You have this price increases you can see in the median price each month up. And then the red line are the sold homes. Now they went up and down, but way up. So that's a lot of up in a month, right? That represented median sold price is up over 2.5%. Median, the average sold price is up almost 15%. And then you can go back over to the quarterly numbers, which are more relevant. And looky here, now the median sold price is down 9.5% when you look at the quarter. So that would be these numbers compared to these numbers. Again, you can see that visually. That's a big difference, and it actually shows what a lot of agents are feeling, which is like the pressure on the market. This is the hottest time of the year, and it showed up here still pretty hot, but when you compare the whole springtime, now it's not so hot. And then you can also do that with the average sold prices, which were down 10% for the quarter. So overall, this condo market is very different than the single family home market. If you didn't see that video, go back. It's a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. What this means. So here's what's actually happening in the Marin condo market. The short answer is that on a single month basis, condos look like they bounced in April. Buyers are active, pendants are strong, and the mix of properties that closed in April skewed higher in price than what we saw in March or in the first part of the year. But the quarterly numbers, which are more reliable in a smaller segment like condos and townhomes, they're still down across the board. The median is down, the average sold price is down. What this means for buyers is that you still have leverage in this segment. The data supports asking for terms and negotiating thoughtfully, not just bidding on the list price. What this means for sellers is that pricing discipline matters even more here than it does in the single family home market. Condo buyers compare HOA fees, monthly cost, condition, location, and rental or pet restrictions very quickly. When the list price is off, it shows up immediately in the days on market and in the final sales to list ratio. A confident listing strategy in this segment is built around the quarterly data, not a single month's bounce. Oh, and by the way, I'm Karrie Hill, lawyer turned realtor, 30-year Marin veteran, and the person who can provide backup if you're buying or selling in Marin, particularly in Tiburon, my hometown. And if you want my free monthly closed sales newsletter with exactly which homes closed in Marin and how much they sold above or below list, information you're not going to find anywhere else, that link is in the description. Hey, and subscribe if you get any benefit out of this video or just want to see some no fluff Marin real estate updates. If you're exploring homes for sale in Marin or thinking about selling, you'll see additional video recommendations above. Thank you for watching and have a great day.